There we go. All right, so I'm just vamping until more people can find their way here. So soon enough, we'll be subjected to my random thoughts. But maybe in 60 seconds, I'll get started. So let's see. Well, everyone, welcome. What are you looking to work on today? Like, where are you at in your time management journey? And feel free to unmute yourself for the next minute or use the chat.
I got a question.
Okay, sure.
Prepare the next generation of work. At our flagship AME Institute, we run monthly virtual learning series through curated programming for schools and business and resources that connect educators and students
I'm not sure what that is.
together all of the key stakeholders from the creative industries.
I am going to mute everyone when they come inside. And Sarah, would you mind helping me with that? This is my
Yep,
my
got it.
Thank you so much. It's also so nice to meet you. Okay, cool. I think that's enough vamping for now. But glad you all can make it. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for finding your way to the right meeting. Hopefully it wasn't too much trouble, but glad you can make it. So let's jump right in and welcome to Time Management 101 with me, Lexie. I am so excited to make time management a little easier for you and how you can approach it with some new tips and tools to digest this tricky topic to make it work for you and not the other way around. So I really want to reframe what time management is for you. And I want you to start thinking about it as a friend and an old companion that you can rely on when things feel out of balance. So it's not so much guidelines, but you can use all of this as a springboard to find what works for you. But before we jump in, just want to reintroduce myself. My name is Lexie. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm on the features development team at Skydance. I also lead our team at Asians in Animation as the president, and I'm one of the 4 founders. And we work on creating educational animation opportunities so we can create that representation we want to see in the industry. So to introduce myself and my work, I've worked across live action and animation in the US and Asia, in both TV and film over the past decade, and I am currently at Skydance getting to support our incredible filmmakers and all of our upcoming original CG features and shorts. So I'm a part of hiring our writers and directors, but most of my role is helping our filmmakers crack open ideas from scratch and move forward in the development process. So we help them surpass their creative goals, but also make the creative process easier to navigate for their busy brains. So if you're a creative, I understand where you are and why you're here. So I am here to help you work better so you can feel better now and throughout your entire career. So at some point, I'm pretty sure that we've all felt like this some point in our lives. And whether you're joining me here because you feel like you're in a whirlwind or you're feeling lost or you're just starting out on your time management journey, I want you to remember that we're all in the same playing field. We're all human and managing ourselves is really hard. So you're not the problem. The problem is the system not working for you. So let's talk about how we can manage your time management. I want you to take a step back from your entertainment lives and interests with me to reframe time management. So time is your enemy, but it can also be your friend. We can gain that power back to feel less stress and frustration. And that's where you can rely on your creativity to design a system that works for you. But we have to keep the big picture in focus first. This wonderful quote, I'll read it out. This is the beginning of a new day. You have been given this day to use it as you will. You can waste it or use it for good. What you do today is important because you are exchanging a day of your life for it. When tomorrow comes, this day will be gone forever. In its place is something you've left behind. Let it be something good. So let that sink in a little bit. Okay, I want to move on. So, what really is time management? It's not just taking a look and trying to manage yourself and your time. It's the process of acquiring the tools and skills to allow you to efficiently and effectively use your time to increase productivity and life satisfaction. So time management is to increase the quality of our life by prioritizing what's important to us. So here's the first thing you can do to solidify your time management, or rather, life satisfaction plan. So you have 168 hours in a week, but how are they really being spent? It should really be human care first, always. Human care should be our top priority, because before we can work, we have to take care of our bodies. We have to make sure that we have a stable base to help our minds execute its actions. Your mind can't work and do great things. And you have to be so careful with your one life. So I like to start out by making a list of all my non-negotiables. And this isn't a comprehensive list, but a really good place to start. For example, making sure that you account for all the rest and recuperation you need. Rest is different from sleep. So rest is a way to not kill your brain. And it also helps you recover from different actions. So you have to treat yourself like an athlete. And this theme will come up throughout this presentation, but you need to take care of your biological needs. And on top of that, emotional health is a non-negotiable. Your well-being will affect how well you can give to other parts of your life. And then you'll see other things on this list, like financial support, like making sure you're in the right place before you move forward. And also things you can't control, like dependent care, your work hours. This is it's a little flexible, I will say, down the road as you work farther in your career, but also think about your base needs for your mental well-being. So from here, I took a paper and wrote out how many hours do I truly have a week and what do I have to work with, and ended up with 20 hours left for everything else I wanted to do beyond taking care of myself as a human. So doing this time audit can help you pinpoint how much time you have to work with. And I did this exercise with one of my friends, of course. That's a very fun friend activity. But we were trying to figure out why he wasn't making progress in his career goals. And we realized he didn't have any time in the day because he spent all of his time taking care of himself and other people. So he had to figure out where to trade his time and how does he really sustain himself for the purpose of giving to his next career step, which is pivoting into an entirely different industry. Okay. Even though 20 hours seems a little bit dire, don't fret. You still have 1,040 hours left in your life should you have the same hours. And that is plenty of time for all the things you want to do. And you have plenty of time beyond this year. So keeping that in mind, time is the coin of your life. It's the only coin you have, and only you can determine how it will be spent. Be careful lest you let others spend it for you. Now, you're in full control of your time. It is up to you to decide how to use this limited resource. So this is a really, really good time to ask yourself if you're using your available time in the best way to serve yourself. Like, not everything beyond your basic human needs should go towards your work or your career, but rather, how is it helping you progress towards that career? So think about, like, why are you doing certain activities? For example, this activity isn't giving to my career. I'm not going to do it. Or this person makes me feel really bad and I feel more negative around them. I don't have much time, but I think I want to spend time with people who want to help me grow and make me into the person I want to be. And then another example for me, I used to spend a lot of time on my phone, but I'd rather take the time I was scrolling on Instagram spending with my grandmother. So maybe I need to pivot from there. And this is why it's so important to be respectful of people's times and being protective of your own. So staying aware is going to be your key tool in navigating time management here. So I'm incredibly grateful that you all could join me here today. So thank you for being here for the next hour and doing this alongside with me. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk figuring out time management. So where do you want to give your time? And maybe this will feel like a no-brainer, but I like to start here with the minimums. So thinking about what is the minimum commitment needed to succeed in everything I have going on in my life? When and where am I needed and for how long? So as a roommate, I'm expected to do chores to upkeep the household, do some cooking occasionally. And as an employee, my job is to be doing a good job with my current job. And anything else I take on beyond that, I still have to do a good job with my core tasks and my core responsibilities. And then another example for AIA, it is my number one goal to make sure that my team is happy and that they're fulfilled, and anything beyond that does not matter as long as my team is okay. So really think about what is necessary, not just important, but necessary about why you're here and why you're pursuing all these tasks. So okay, let's do this. We can do this together. So I would love to do a quick exercise and create a menu with you all. So this is a great time to blue sky where we think about every single possibility that could happen and what's the best thing that could happen? Like how do you want to be spending your time? And you click the QR link, you are going to be redirected to a Google Jamboard with some thoughts from other people who have experienced this presentation before and where they want to give back to their lives. So we're going to take a couple of seconds to think about it and take a look at what other people have said. But this is what it looks like if you don't have access to a QR code. We created a whole list for every single category of what's important to us. So please notice that we did separate work and career based on work being what you're doing now and career doing what you want to be doing in the future. So there are some great things brought up here, like self-care, doing nothing. That is amazing. Drinking water, hitting the gym, memory exercises, get that neuroplasticity. And then for a career, following up with connections, watching movies, very important over here, taking skill-based classes and social, going to lunch, rollerblading, RPGs, great choices, calling your family, super important. So hopefully, the QR code is not working. Well, thank you, Maria. I really appreciate it. So I will keep vamping for the next 60 seconds if you want to take a look and just think about what you want to do. Like, what is important to you right now? Like, who's in your life that you want to spend more time with? This is something I'm constantly thinking about. And I really want to make sure that I use my time in the right way. So that also means putting some career things aside to spend more time with my family and actually make sure, hey, you can do everything you want to do with the person now and just not forgetting about it. So that it's here again, you're building that awareness for building your life. Okay, I think I've vamped enough here. But Nina, that's a great point about feeling guilty for taking time for yourself. I used to feel that way too. but it is important so you can bring your best self to the table when you need to. And who knows, everything that you do for yourself gives back in mysterious ways. Like it's important how we invest our time. Like if you give into your well-being, it'll help you show up better the next day. So rest is good. Taking time for yourself is really, really good. Okay. So from there, you can take everything you brainstormed and put it into a list of priorities. And this became a menu of sorts for myself. So I can go, yes, I know where I want to focus, but also how can I maybe combine these things to do more at the same time? Like I need to combine essential needs for my body with my interests. Like for exercise, I despise running with my life, but I will dance for hours. Or I want to spend time with my grandmother, but we can go dancing together. And if you know me, I kind of force everyone to go dancing with me, but my grandmother is really special because growing up, she used to teach me all the 50s and 60s dances, and she's 82 now, and she's still got energy. She's still going, so we're going dancing while she still can. Anyway, that's my priority over here. But this kind of becomes my life to-do list and my system to stay on track with my priorities to make sure I'm giving to each area of my life appropriately each week. And also when I get stuck, I can go, okay, what could I do? Like I have a block of time here. What would be a good use other than scrolling on my phone and watching YouTube videos? So you can always come back to this list to remind yourself of what's important to your time. And then we can start building what your week can look like. And this doesn't have to be a hard and fast schedule that you build. It can be flexible. So you can even do it as a template before you start making it an actual thing you want to follow. So when you're starting out, you want to add what cannot move, and then you add what's flexible. So thinking about all of your goals and your big life priorities, don't forget to bring life maintenance into the picture and all of the things you have to do to upkeep your well-being, whether it's in your career or if it's in your health, including habits you want to build, and then build it into your calendar so you can start building that into your habits. So for me, I will list all of these different goals at different times and it'll feel like a lot, but if I put it on my calendar, it's a little easier on my brain to approach it as it comes rather than all at once. That's a lot of mental load. So I, even though I love investing in my health savings account every top of the year, I only need to think about it on January 1st. And you can do that too. And also asking for a pay raise every 6 months. That's normal. So think about what rhythms do you want to set up? Because at the end of the day, we are a series of routines. Even though we think we're very spontaneous, we do things the same time of day, same tasks at that same time of day, and then we repeat it. So if things are feeling a little bit messy, just know that we're a series of systems and we're actually pretty simple. Okay, anyway, enough of that mind-bending talk. Let's just jump into what you do next. So next, define specific times for working. And please remember, as you go through your entire life, working hours are not 24/7. So just like your body, your work should have limits. It's okay if you like working at night, but just don't work around the clock. Because here's an example. So one thing about me is that I love getting things done and off my plate. I love decluttering. It feels so good. But when I first exited school, my to-do list controlled me instead of me controlling my to-do list. And I would do this around the clock. I was always thinking, okay, I've got my goal in brain. Yep, that's how I think. Got my goal in my head, and then I forgot that the real goal along the way was to keep myself going and sustain myself. And then I got lost in the weeds. I got burnt out. I'd be every single day feeling so drained. And soon enough, I found myself feeling like this. So, powering through your tasks is good, but not good long term. So, if you're a student, powering through something like its final season isn't really normal in the real world. You need to work best with your working style, and that is normal. So, I suggest giving yourself structure to start so you can use that as a foundation to change later. So, this is how I define my work schedule now. It's not all over the place and when I feel like it. It's more, this is what happens at this time, and I have this amount of time to do X. And if I don't get to it and I don't finish it by that time, that's okay. I have more time blocked out later to tackle this. And then once I set that schedule, I stick to those hours. So, granted, the 9 to 5 work schedule doesn't work for everyone, and that's okay. So, yours may look different from mine, but you need to start building and seeing rhythms because once you have some expectations, then you can just focus on the work. And that's why in animation, we have producers and they set up those schedules for us. So we don't really have to think about where we're going. We just know what we're doing next and where to be. But then we focus on the work because that's already set in the back of our brains. We don't need to think about it. But going back to this schedule and how this doesn't really work for everyone, 9 to 5 always isn't the optimal time for everyone to work. So for me, I don't work a full 3 hours at a time, but I take a lot of breaks in between to get to that finish line and feel sane at the end of it. So I do a lot of Pomodoro timing, or if I need to take a water break, I just go take it. Like I run away from my computer, I shut my screen, and I'll come back. So again, think of yourself as that athlete. You don't work out for an hour and a half and then go, okay, I'm gonna go run another mile. No, you need to treat your brain like it's a muscle that can get tired. So leading to the next tip, work with your brain. So when you're blocking out your time, you really have to do what's best for you, especially when you have a lot going on. And it's really important to do this next step, which is getting to know your performance style. So again, the brain is like a muscle. It's not a muscle, but it's like one. So if you don't want to think of it as a brain, think of it as a little puppy that can get really tired. You wouldn't overwalk a puppy knowing their physical boundaries. So you need to do the same for yourself and your mind. So for me, my tendencies when it comes to work, I had to learn how to work with myself instead of trying to be someone else. I know there's a lot of productivity tips and like how do I work and get into Ivy League colleges and that if that doesn't work for you, it doesn't. So you need to work with yourself, not against yourself. Like, for example, I am really good at forgetting to take breaks. So that's why I use that Pomodoro timer. And I rely on a lot of reminders to make sure that all of my brain storage is not being used to store what I have to do next and memorize my to-do list, but rather focus on what I'm working on now. So my schedule started to shift once I started to realize these things to protect my mental RAM. And for people born in this century, just protecting how much energy my brain is using at one time. So let's take this and implement it into a schedule. And we'll use myself as an example. So the biggest tip I have is schedule do, not do. So this is where your design skills come in. So you have to design what is friendliest for your brain, especially if it's a busy day. You can figure out what you're going to do when it works best for you based on your energy levels. So instead of having a hard to-do list, even though I love my notebook, she's wonderful. I prefer to have a visual to-do list and have it time blocked. This is what I use for productivity. It's worked for me for multiple years. I was always bouncing around trying to figure out, okay, how do I figure out my schedule? Am I just gonna get task by task done at this certain time? And then I learned time blocking. It's a whole lot easier if I know how much time things are gonna take. So this is a typical day in my life. And top of day, top of week, I will go through everything I have to get done and then plot it out around existing commitments and seeing what's really important to me to give my energy to and what can take a little less energy. So once I plot it out, this is vital for me to have a very calm week so I'm not wondering what I'm doing every single second. So I'm setting up those expectations. I'm giving myself a map beforehand instead of figuring out where to go on the journey itself. Like you don't start driving without a plan. I mean, you can, but if you want to be a little kinder to your brain, make sure you're careful with where you put your mind energy. So I'm also able to evaluate, does this feel good? And does this really have to be done today? Can there be things that are not the next day? So here's what I'm thinking about as I am designing my chart. So again, I'm trying to say brain power. I'm setting the tone for the day. I'm trying to stay calm. And the way to do that for me is I'm structuring everything around the story session from 1 to 3 p.m. That's when I need to go in and really use all of my energy to support others in the room and throw out ideas that will help others get to solutions. So therefore, I have a lot of other things I need to do at the same time. So in attacking things, I try to eat the frog first. So taking on the worst task I have, and that is my email inbox. It is terrifying. I have about 4,000 emails in there. And I will just chip away at that first. And then once it's done, I don't have to think about it for the rest of the day. And it feels amazing. So my brain is less cluttered. And then from there, I will do a lot of batched work. So I know that after this story session, I love working with people and I get a lot of energy from them. I will feel really, really motivated to do anything. So I'm gonna take that energy and follow up on all the action items for my meeting. And then I can go back into a calmer task once that energy kind of goes down. And I can deep focus on giving script notes or giving notes on a presentation. But then what I would have done here that's different is budget more time in between tasks. So not everything on this list had to get done in this day. So it's really good to build in buffer and contingency time in case an emergency happens. Like you want to stay flexible, but you also want to allow yourself time to decompress from big things that happen. Like again, with the running metaphor, if you go running and you go really, really hard, don't just go right into the next task. Take that break and take all the time you need to recover. That recovery period is going to be so important in getting through a full day. And I want you to note, I didn't double book things on my calendar. I do my best to not do multiple things at the same time. And of course, it is so hard to focus with all the beeps and notifications and Teams messages, Slack messages, and then Discord coming up too. There's a lot going on, but you can decide what you attack when. Like you set the rules here. And at the same time, think about how much you can really do at the same time. So, as a quick reminder, you can only put in one bite of food in your mouth at a time. So your working success will not rely on your schedule management, but your focus management. And you can truly only do one thing per minute. Multitasking can be done, but if you want to do one thing well, be careful of where you put your focus. So you can do a lot of things at the same time. That is absolutely in your wheelhouse, but you could also do a lot of things at the same time poorly. So this food metaphor also applies to how you approach your workload and multiple projects. So when you're starting out, you need to figure out your base needs and then do a good job of fulfilling your base needs and don't spread yourself too thin if you want to make progress. So do your best to do one thing well. And once you have a handle on that, you can start increasing your workload to eventually think and achieve more, because you are so capable. Everyone on this call is so capable, and you can do anything that you put your mind to. And that might mean working on a project for 10 minutes every 3 days. The goal in getting things done is to complete the task. Succeeding just means completion. And if you're able to complete that task, that's when you can decide what you want to take on and what if you can take on more. So having this manageable workload will make you feel a little bit more on top of your time, as where your focus is where your focus goes. And if you're focused on how your time management is spiraling out of control, and you're in your head and you're in your feelings thinking about, oh, what's going wrong, you're not actually focusing on getting the task done itself. All right. So we're halfway through, and I need a bit of a brain break. So I'm going to allow you all some time to sink in and think about everything that's been going on, because we're about to ramp it up a bit and we'll talk about more time management, but long term. But yes. Okay. Looking through the comments, getting stuck on YouTube. Yes. Thank goodness people feel the same. Getting stuck in the work is 24/7 mentality. Yes, it is so hard to manage multiple lives. And if you're managing to make it through, that is an incredible feat, because most people are not equipped to work 40 hours a week and work more. So yeah, really sustain yourself. And you can take your time with portfolio work, especially in this industry, because it's going through some dips and there's a lot of time. A lot of people are trying to figure things out right now on where they are. So just know that there are a lot of things out of your control, and when you're ready, the industry will be ready. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Time management is also reframing your mindsets sometimes. Okay. Yes, Evelyn, every obstacle is a challenge, and face those challenges, you can succeed. Yes, don't be afraid of trying things head on. And even if you only do 5 minutes worth of it, that's still pretty good. That's one more step than you would have taken 5 minutes ago. Sabrina, what program resources do you recommend for time blocking? Just Google Calendar, any calendar app. You can also do it on paper too. But I also use ClickUp, because I have a list of all of my tasks there, and I can easily drag it onto my calendar and then have that calendar connect to my Google Calendar. But I end up putting it on my Google Calendar anyway. Yeah, thank you for taking the advice and listening to me. And also just say, oh, ADHD, yes, ADHD is really difficult, but you can work with it. Like, it's a series of superpowers that makes you think in a different way, but rather, if you know how to take care of your body on top of having like a differently wired brain, you can make this work. Like, I I'm, I'm also a little bit there with you, and I've been learning a lot about ADHD recently, and like there are ways that you can control your brain a little bit more, with like making sure that you're not overstimulating your brain, like with going on YouTube and TikToks and loading your brain with dopamine. So like saving your precious brain energy will help you move forward. Okay. Everyone ready to ramp it up a bit? We're gonna keep going. We're halfway there. So long-term time management. Unfortunately, life is full of doing multiple things at the same time and doesn't always allow us to do one thing well at once. So it's very much easier said than done. So here are some ways that you can stay sane. And number one is break this larger goal into smaller specific pieces beforehand. And when you're working towards a milestone, reframe your goals to be immediate stepping stones, especially when approaching your career growth and long-term projects. It will help you not get lost in the weeds if you do this prep work beforehand and define your deliverables before you start. Like, for example, if you want to make a short film, of course you can just let the process take you where it needs to go. But if you plan out this roadmap of, yes, I need to board it out first, and then I can start animating one shot per week, it'll feel a little more calm for you. And same with jobs. Instead of getting a job as your goal, make your goal, update your resume, just fix the bullet points, and then fix your summary. And then you can move on to a cover letter. But you don't have to have the final cover letter right away. Don't forget those drafts. So do a zero draft where you just dump your head out on the page and say what you really need to say before crafting it into something that sounds professional. And then if you're in a more vague space, like figuring out a concept, don't overcomplicate it for yourself so you get lost in the weeds. Like, so if you're developing a concept, yes, let your creativity juices fly and just run in any direction you want. But remember, at the end of the day, you have some deliverables and you can work towards those and use those as your anchor as you're exploring. So you don't take off too much at the same time. Because sometimes with creators, they love building characters, but that also means they have to build the world at the same time. And everything is connected, everything has to thematically motivate each other. You can get there, but it doesn't have to be complicated because creativity, the process is easy, but the ideas are hard. So the way that I like to approach creativity sometimes for our creatives, one of our directors at Skydance, he is this industry veteran and he has a very methodical way of approaching how he fixes his projects. So he will go, all right, everyone, what's mushy? And then people will come up with, hey, I have a note on Act 2B. I don't like this plot point. And he'll go, all right, everyone, let's pitch solutions. I'll pick the solution I like, and then we keep moving forward and addressing each note. So it is not random. It is not just aimlessly walking around until you find something to do. He has got a plan. He runs these rooms like nobody's business. And then he's able to make so much project progress faster than other people. So that's what's worked for him, but it may not work for you. So try it out. Thinking about, was the deliverable addressing a note, or addressing the deliverable is a presentation. Okay. Similar to scheduling do not do. I like scheduling blocks of time to approach specific tasks of a category. So going back to that menu, specifically like career building time, and I'll give myself the space to figure out how to best use the time, but also build awareness of how long it's really going to take me to do something. And this goes back to time blocking. So I'll look at the menu, I'll go, okay, I want 2 hours on my career this week. What can I do to get back to myself here? And I'll look at my list. Whew, long list. Goes even longer on my notes. But I'll think about, okay, in these 2 hours, what could I truly get done? And I will write down the hours and figure out, okay, for hour 1, I think I can use that for doing my resume, but it's not going to take too long. So I can take some emails too. And then in that second hour, even if it's not after that first hour, it might be later in the week, I'll have a coffee chat. So I'll really make sure I take the time to research, question prep, super important. So you can have more meaningful conversations. Then I'll have the coffee chat itself. The thank you note. And then I will debrief with myself and journal about how I can make it better the next time. Like, this is really important to me, like the maintenance of it. So where I'm going with this is that when I break these big goals down into smaller pieces and give time estimates for each, I don't have to think about what's next on the docket. So it's a less stressful approach to getting things done, knowing when you'll work on when, and even if you don't know what to do during this time, like this structure will give you that free space, especially if you're trying to be creative. So it'll feel like a bite-sized piece instead of a giant monster. And this is also very good for you perfectionists in the chat. Just make sure that you don't spend too much time on one thing. Also, artists, make sure you don't spend too much time on one thing. I know your work is never done, but you need the cutoff time so you can get to that well-deserved rest. And then another tip is visualizing the work. So as you're scaling up time frames from tasks going to minutes and hours and weeks, but now months and years, it is so much easier if you visualize it. So you did all the thought work and you took all the time you need to think about all the steps, and you know the order that things need to get done and the healthiest way to approach this entire plan. So this is a sample of a long-term project. I prefer the right side of this chart rather than the left because I don't want to think about the things I need to do and then think about it every time I come back to this chart. It's just there for me and I know what exactly is going to happen and I can just focus on the work. And here's another example. So here's a little behind the scenes of Asians in animation. This tool can help you audit your workload with visuals for multiple things happening at the same time. So for the operations team, our lovely operations team, they do a lot at the same time. They run different teams. We have 3 teams underneath, and then we also have time management. This is the presentation. Team management as one of our projects. So we make sure that everything is going as well as it could, and we know what's happening when and where it has to happen. Like if we have new volunteers join us in the summer, we need to allot training time beforehand. Or if we onboard someone, we need to also allot training time afterwards and figure out the transition between different people and make sure that we build it into the schedule because it's really important and an important investment for how we're going to function as a team going forward. So this is not only a way for you to organize your brain, but give others something to understand your brain and react to. So my friends and I also have a version of this chart, very nerdy of us. We have a group spreadsheet where we list out the different areas of our lives that we need to contribute to, and then our goals for each of them. And then we all talk about it. So it doesn't feel like we're alone in this mess. We're all working towards something. And even if that means that you're taking a break, that's still working towards something. You're prioritizing your health. So this is one tool you can use. I love blocks. I love colors. I love making this really kind to my brain. But not everything has to look like things that have already existed. Like this is how Andrea, our executive director at AIA, thinks of projects. She's more of a waterfall schedule chart gal, whereas I am a milestone blocking gal, and that's totally okay. And my boss at work, she loves designing the color palettes for her schedules, and they are beautiful. So there's not one way to build these visual aids out, but it should feel easy, approachable, and should make your brain feel good. And that being said, it's so important to stay in touch with yourself and know how you're feeling, because ultimately you need to know your limits. This is imperative. Like, again, you're human and you've got a lot of time to get things done, and you don't need to power through things all the time, and you don't need to work yourself to the bone. That only can take you so far. Like you have the rest of your life to live. So make it easy for your future self. And same with workload. Only add more to your plate until you can handle your bare minimum workload. Like you can't move forward without a solid foundation to bounce off of. So time management may be really hard for you because you might be doing too much at a pace that's not sustainable for you. You can't get to your next step unless you master your base responsibilities. So think about mastering the minimum before you tackle or go tackle the world or go steal the moon. So maybe drink some water and go to bed at a healthy hour first. Just something to think about. So we're almost done. For any project or person to work, make this your new goal. Make your goal to make things easy. You're supposed to make life easy for yourself. Just for example, if you're on a production, you don't need to be panicking. You don't need to freak out. Calm, happy, and healthy is a norm for productions and life. And if something is broken, you can take the time to fix it. And of course, not everything is going to be calm, happy, and healthy, but that should be the norm. Everything you do, work, career, hobbies, should be helping you, not destroying you. So take a step back and make the time to make your system better. So managing your system is also a huge part of having the system. And I love doing check-ins, and I have a lot of check-ins with myself. I do top of the week, I do a midday check-in, do an end of the day check-in, end of week check-in. This seems like a lot, but actually helps me reset and kind of remember why I'm doing and for what. And you're supposed to take your system and you're supposed to like it and really make it friendly to you. So you can really take this time in one of your check-ins to take a look at where you are. Do you like where you are in terms of progress? Do you need to tweak your overall goal? Also important, what bugged you? How did this make you feel? Listen to your cues. So yeah, what's making it difficult? What's getting in your way? And how could this potentially be done faster? And this doesn't mean like you need to rush through your task, but how do you cut the weeds out in front of you so you can just walk straight through the field of grass? And here's everything that we talked about today. So we thought about everything we wanted to do. We built it into a schedule about our dream way of approaching this. We tried it out. We're thinking about how it went, and then we make it better every single time. So if it doesn't work, you can fix it, and you can keep iterating your process and your schedule to address all of your needs and work best for you. So this took me around 2 years to figure out, but I'm so glad I put in the work to do that because now I'm just functioning and I have a rhythm, so I can tap into my muscle memory and I can work a whole lot easier. So some final tips: have reasonable goals, don't slam your schedule. Time management doesn't mean holding yourself to a strict timetable. It's just being self-aware to create more time for what you want to do. So sometimes time management, it's not your system, but how you run your system. And at the end of the day, be kind to yourself. Like, conserve your energy, give yourself breathing time, take breaks, like take your mandatory government breaks. Like whenever you start a job, ask the break policy, ask the lunchtime, because every time you miss, that adds up. Like for 1 year of work, if you don't take your government mandated breaks, that is 19 full work days that you could have used to take care of yourself. So block it on your calendar. Don't forget, have a written record. Don't play around with burnout. It will take you out of commission and you won't be able to do what you want to do. So think about being kind to yourself. Be kind to your brain, especially if you're creative and especially if you want to be creative for a long time. I'm here to wrap out. What do we want our stories to be? How do we want to be remembered? So in the end, we all become stories. What will yours be? And I hope that sets you off on a good start to your time management journey. And thank you all for hanging in there and finding this room with everything going on and just being here with me. So thank you for spending your time with me. I really, really appreciate you all. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I might not respond right away because I don't check LinkedIn that much, but if you are interested in joining the Asians animation community, we are open to all, and we have a huge community of wonderful, wonderful people who are ready to answer your questions. And also, we're all here to take care of ourselves. And that's really what our community does best. So please feel free to come by and say hi. And since we have about 7 minutes left, I can help answer any questions. We can also talk through what you're going through. But yeah, feel free to stick around if you like. And I can keep vamping until someone throws something at me, but I'm here for the next 7 minutes. Thank you everyone for coming. Hi Andy. So that might be a better question for Sarah, if she's still here.
What was the question, Lexie?
It was, will this be recorded or posted anywhere?
It will. It'll be up on the BRIC Foundation YouTube page. Yes.
BRIC is the best. Yay.
Lexie, you're the best. Thank
Oh,
you.
no. Sarah. Oh, I love BRIC. It's my favorite organization. Don't tell AAA.
Secret is safe here.
Okay, got a question. Could you share some things that are for people who struggle with ADD? Oh gosh, I don't think I'm the best spokesperson for this, but I would say for me, like what works for my brain, it works a little bit differently from other people. Again, working with your brain, working with your habits, like I hyper focus like crazy. If I am super passionate about something, I will look down and I will look up and it's completely dark. So that's why I need those visual reminders to tell me, hey, you need to drink water. You need to eat. If I don't have that visual reminder, I will not remember at all. There are also ways you can train yourself to do things, like really honing into just, this is so silly. What gives you dopamine? What could give you that reward after doing a task? So that could get you to help finish a task. But if you're struggling with starting a task, sometimes if you just jump into it, you're not giving yourself time to think about anything else. You're honing in. Another thing that I like to use is lo-fi and brown noise for ADHD. This is it feels like you're creating it's like someone put a blanket on top of you. And then you can block out every single noise and just focus on what's in front of you. As for the person who asked that, if you want to go into a couple of specific questions of how to attack things, happy to talk through them. As I know sometimes part of struggling to do tasks is grappling with the emotions of having emotions. And that is hard in itself. And struggling doesn't feel good. Like our humans will do anything to not feel pain. So that's why I am so big on making this easier for yourself, make it kinder for yourself. Like if you have a notebook, don't just use a pen, use your favorite glitter pens. Like this is how I have gotten through my entire career, literally glitter pens. So I'm making it fun for myself. I'm really giving myself those little doses of dopamine with like things that make my life a little bit better, a little bit easier. Yeah. Yeah, thank you everyone for your time. Okay, got 3 more minutes before we'll end. Can't let's see. Well, I mean, as we're parting, I hope you take some time for yourself today and really think about what's important to you and remember that work and career is not life. Really, really think about what you want for your next 100 years. Like you've got so much time to do so much and you don't need to rush at all. Life is waiting for you and it's gonna be good. Oh, question. Any tips on how to focus on dual screens? I try to limit how many things are in my visual field to focus. I know that's so hard with dual screens, but I really make sure that I can limit the amount of visual information that I'm taking in. So sometimes that means putting on a black background. So every time I look at my screen, I don't pick up, oh, wow, what a pretty scene or photo. Oh, nice colors. Instead, I just go, oh, it's a dark screen. Okay, I'm gonna keep moving on. So I make it really uninteresting for myself, so I don't look at it too much and have it overload my brain. Like for example, my phone, I forgot to turn this back on, but I'll show you all how I do this. So my phone is actually in black and white, and this is my home screen. So it only has a few different things I can do instead of the whole app library where I can spend so much time scrolling and thinking about what I do next. Everything I want to do is here. I want to read, I want to meditate, I want to write some notes down, I want to message my family back after I don't respond to them, things like that. But BRIC team, if we need to end right on the dot, let me know. But I'll answer the last couple of questions. So, Andy, do you have any tips oriented for ADHD and how to harness it as a superpower instead of a curse? Okay, I don't know if I can cover this in 1 minute. There are a lot of videos online that can help, a lot of research being done, like a lot of good research. I watch a lot of TED Talks on this too, but it's definitely giving yourself visual awareness, time awareness, because sometimes with ADHD, you can forget what time it is very easily. So the more you have those reminders, the more it'll help. Sometimes defining how much time a task will take will help you approach it so it doesn't feel that nebulous. Because I know there are so many thoughts going on in your head, but you can try to limit the thoughts going on around you and how much you're taking in. So I would say in terms of superpowers, hyperfocus is a big one. But you can hyperfocus for longer if you take those breaks. Like you can still stay in that same headspace, even if you're staring out the window. So hopefully that helps a bit. Just I would really recommend YouTube. But just be careful and of how much you scroll. Like for me, I have a YouTube blocker, and it makes the entire home screen blank, so I don't end up scrolling. Like I need to implement so many tools to stop myself from these habits, but that's just being aware and then working with my habits. And then sometimes I'll go on incognito and I'll browse YouTube the normal way where I can just lose myself on Ted Lasso recommendations. uh, all right, Natalia, any thoughts on feeling like you're not doing enough? Oh boy, I I have felt this through my entire career. And here, I'll stop sharing my screen so I can stop looking at my face. I'll go back to what I said a couple of slides ago, where success is completion. Success is not going above and beyond, even though going above and beyond might be your norm. So for others, it's just getting to the finish line, no matter the quality of the work. So I think in order to satisfy how you feel in that moment, you have to get something done. Like give yourself small wins along the way, and then hopefully those will add up to making you feel like you have done enough. Because that it's kind of like filling a cup. So instead of like trying to focus on like filling up this whole cup, just fill it up like parts of the way. I want to do this right now because I actually need to drink water. Yeah, bit by bit, and then you'll feel whole. So I think the way that you're approaching it is not by task, but rather by fulfilling your emotional needs. And is that going to come from work? Is it going to come from a career instead? Is it going to come from a hobby? Can it come from your family members to fulfill your emotional needs? So really hone into the emotion that you're feeling to address the need. And it's not going to be through your to-do list. Yeah. Looking at the chat, yes, we have to make sure that we have some structure in our lives. And for me, that structure is having a YouTube blocker. I also have Instagram blocker, Twitter blocker. I know my limits, and I also know my habits of scrolling. I love scrolling. I love the internet. But yeah, okay. So we're a little over time, but if you have any other questions, I highly recommend just throwing in the AIA channels. If I don't get to it, someone else will. And then if someone doesn't cover everything in that one chat, usually I will jump in a little bit later with some thoughts. But good luck, everyone. You've got this. Life is going to be good, and it is what you make of it. So make sure you're being careful of your time and take care of yourselves so you can live a long time and live a long life. So yeah, thank you everyone so much for your time again. You all are wonderful. Have a great BRIC Summit and hope to meet you all soon. All right. Bye everyone. Have a great day.